who the co-sponsors are, that 2 or 3 of them also sit on the Labor and Industry Committee. There's always in these bills, there's always an overlap between people who sit on the Education Committee and who sit on, is it Labor and Industry, or what is that called? The Committee in charge of Economic Development. What is that committee?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The Senate Committee in charge of Economic Development, is that Labor and Industry? What is it? What is it?
I mean, there's not necessarily one committee that oversees economic development. There's the Finance Committee, there's the, we don't have a Commerce Committee at the State Senate. There's on the federal level, there's a Commerce Committee.
Well,
there's the Department of Community and Economic
these
Development.
2 senators sit on the committee whose responsibility is to expand business in Congress.
So I can tell you who's all, I have the bill in front of me.
Yeah.
So Senator Smucker, Senator Williams, Senator Baker, Senator Fulmer, Senator Waugh, W-A-U-G-H, W-A-U-G-H, Senator Alloway, Senator Pileggi, Senator Vance,
V-A-N-C-E.
V-A-N-C-E, yeah.
and Senator Eichelberger, E-I-C-H-E-L-B-E-R-G-E-R. Eichelberger.
Do you also have what districts they represent?
I don't have that.
Other than the one from Lancaster?
Yes.
And Williams. Hi, my name is Danielle Arnold Schwartz. I'm a resident and a teacher in Lower Merion School District. And I just wanted to sort of put out there that I think it's really important to keep in mind this is really bipartisan concern, and that sometimes that can be confusing. And I guess my question is, being so close to Philadelphia, I myself have been guilty, and I know some of my well-intended neighbors thought this was an urban problem. And so I think it's time that we realize that this affects everyone and stand together. And what would you recommend to help open the eyes of communities like Lower Merion and Radnor, to help us see we're all in it together and to stand together and to stop this privatization movement?
Does Lower Merion have any charter schools?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
But they do have a few, and you should answer this more than me, but they do have a number of students who attend cyber charter schools. So that's one thing that I'll point to as unifying the state. Most of the state does exactly what you just said. It says, oh, there's only 35 school districts that have, out of 500, that have just brick and mortar charters. And so, yeah, that's not our problem. We don't have to worry about it. But almost every single school district has students in cyber charter schools. So the one thing that's a little scary to me is that there's a bit of another poison pill in Senate Bill 1085. And that is they've slightly reduced the amount of funds that go towards cyber charter schools to appease school districts like Lower Merion and other school districts that don't currently have brick and mortar charter schools, to make them, to pacify them. To make them say, oh, this bill's not a problem because, oh, we're going to save some money next year. And it's a very short-sighted view, but in fact, some of the school board associations that represent the state school board associations haven't been strong enough on this for this exact reason, because their members are saying, hey, I can stand to get that 5% discount on what I'm sending to cyber charter schools right now. So I guess I would just try, I think we need to educate people to know that that is very short-sighted, because it's going to be a short-term savings for a long-term loss in the long term. I'm sure Zach and Sue might have other thoughts on that.
Sure.
Will Richam from Chester. There's another sweetener, which is that apparently Chester Upland would get some additional funds. The receiver of Chester Upland, who runs the place now, the school board really doesn't have any control, they come out publicly in support of 1085 and says it's going to get us some money.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of work to do.
Now, David, explain exactly what is a cyber charter school.
So under the law, charter school law, charter school is a charter school that primarily educates students through the internet. What's interesting is, that doesn't really define what that means very closely at all. And so we have seen a number of cybers that have opened up their mostly internet, but then they have their own buildings that students come to. The Department of Ed has said that, if it's a requirement that a student has to come to a building, that's made it no longer a cyber charter school. Now it's a brick and mortar charter school, and they need to be authorized by their district. So that's another difference. Cyber charters are authorized by the State Department of Education. Brick and mortars are authorized by their local school district under the current law. So one in Philadelphia said, we can't get authorized by Philadelphia. They won't authorize us. So they went to the state. So we were going to be a cyber charter school. And the state said, here's your charter. And they opened up, and then they had their own building that every kid went to. And the state eventually finally said to them, wait, you're not a cyber charter school. You're a brick and mortar charter school. And you need to be authorized by the state. And they started revocation proceedings. And then the cyber withdrew its stuff by itself, but not before charging Philadelphia for $500,000 of back bills that it had before it shut down.
Dr. Flynn?
Thank you. Clarification. I thought I heard you say that no charter school in Pennsylvania successfully made annual yearly reports.
Cyber.
Yeah, no cyber charter. And then I thought I heard you say, and they have been authorized by the Secretary of Education.
Cybers are authorized by the state, not by the local district.
And so,
They just take the money out of our account.
and so my point is, Secretary Dumas has cyber charter schools, none of which have met their mission, and she has yet
Correct.
to deal with them?
That's correct. Not one is succeeding.
Under which law should she be relating to the cyber charter schools? I thought that when a school failed to meet its mission, that its charter was revoked.
No, they are not.
Under law, should
Charters are reviewed every 5 years. And the review is done close to the end of that 5-year period. And at that time, you can say, we can't renew your charter. In Coatesville, they have recently closed a charter school, not a cyber. Because the cyber schools are under control, direct control of the state, which means they're under no control at all. Money is simply removed from our district funds every month to pay the cyber schools. And as I alluded, a lot of the kids don't even go. They don't attend. They're truant. But there are no truancy laws for cyber or charter schools, as there are for public schools that are counted into our
School
evaluation.
district taxpayers are paying for children to get
We are, you are, all of us are. Yes.
And our Secretary of Education will not oversee and follow the law according to these schools?
There have been children attending Pennsylvania Leadership Charter School which has not achieved adequate yearly progress for 5, 6, 7 years. That means, what education are they going to come out with? What?
And that's the biggest.
And we pay for it. We are hurting children actively every day with these. Not just benignly, but actively.
Knowingly, actively,
Yes.
denying these kids education.
One response I'll add to that is that the Secretary of Education, you pointed to a weakness in the charter law is what you've done. The Secretary of Education hasn't done anything illegal.
Right.
It's that under our charter school
Not
law,
required to.
it's very difficult to revoke a charter. The standard is very high to prove that that charter has material violation of their charter or by material violation of some other law in Pennsylvania. Merely having low test scores isn't necessarily enough. As maybe it shouldn't be, because it might just be a proxy for the students that they're serving in a way. But there are a lot of other indicators that they're weak, and it's still very, very difficult. We have some really low-performing charters that it's very difficult to revoke their charters. It's an incredibly lengthy and costly legal process that takes. And so that's another disappointment with this law, is that it does not change that. It does not improve that mechanism and make it give districts or whoever the authorizer is more authority over the operation of that school.
I think at this juncture, we got 7 minutes left on the 30 minutes. what I wanted to do was give our great president of the media unit, Dr. Flynn, an opportunity to have those last, 76 minutes to address all of you. I want to say something to you about Dr. Flynn. Dr. Flynn is also the statewide chairperson for education over all 40 branches in Pennsylvania. She's been that since I can remember. But these kinds of things have gone on in the state, in the state conference. There was one in Pittsburgh, and she always has an annual one up in Cheney. And so Dr. Flynn, this is her baby, her passion. And so there's no one, more knowledgeable, particularly when the state conference meets with the NAACP, that more knowledgeable than the education piece. I want to give that introduction to Dr. Flynn, and so President Dr. Flynn, can you have the last 5 minutes or 6 minutes or whatever the last minutes?
I want to thank you, David. I want to thank you, Zach. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Call him Mr. Wheeler. He's our lawyer. For service today. And we do have a little something for you. Where are their citations? I want to thank Betty McLaren, who is actually coordinating today's event, and I want to thank Beverly Thorpe, who is co-coordinator, and the effort they put in to make sure that this information was available to the public. We also call you to action. This is not something that we can not take steps on. And so as Beverly has said, you must, now that you know, contact your senator and your representative and share your perspectives on this sort of legislation. As well, you'll notice we've got a upcoming education committee programs on here. February 22nd will be the award ceremony for our Black History Poster Contest here in media. And I've got to show you a calendar. Yes. For the first time, the work that the children did on their poster contest has been turned into a calendar. And we are just as proud as we can be. So these pictures were drawn by children from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And this year, the theme is STEM. And so all the children from Springfield to Chadds Ford, from Aston to Cheney, which is our chartered region for the media NAACP, are looking at scientists and engineers and researching their lives. So these calendars are available. They're $15. If anybody should say, I've just got to have one, you certainly may. But we want you to know that from the poster contest this year, we will have, the 2015 calendar. But we're also this year going to have these pictures made into note cards, so that they're not bound by time, that at any given point you could purchase a note card. And then in May, we will do our conference on the state of education. And historically, we have done that in May because we line up with the month of the Brown decision. And we've done it at Cheney University because Dr. Hill, who was president of the Cheney, was also a founding member of the NAACP. And we find that relationship between that, the oldest historically Black university in the Western Hemisphere, to be a natural connection with the oldest civil rights organization in the world. So, you are always, ma'am?
Do you have a date? Is it 60 years?
60 years of it. This will be the 60th anniversary of Brown. Thank you. Woohoo! That changes the nature of the conference. That's why she's my friend. She thinks I talk. Also, that date we have are not set, but we want you to watch. It will be announced in the newspaper, on our website, and through the aggravation of my never-ending emails. So we'll keep you informed on that. We're thinking that that will probably have to do with adequate and equitable school funding again this year, but we'll keep you posted. And now, if the chair would like, we're going to present this to David Lapp, and this is an appreciation for community service. Coming here on Saturday.
My wife will be impressed. Thank you very much. It's such an honor being with you all.
Thank you. And this is presented to Zach. Thank you. Okay, she can take pictures. Jonathan's not here. This is, oh, that's Susan's. This is for our legal redress person. Thank you. And Mrs. Tiernan, we do have yours.
Spell my name right
This was the first 2 years that Mr. Wheeler was our legal redress person. I spelled his name with an E, L-A-C-E-Y, and he would look at me and say, "There's no E in my name." And then finally he told me, "That's how you spell the girls." But we thank you. And if you want any further information, you can come to our website. We are at, we're down here. You can get my email address by going to this website and send your question, and we will get the answer to your question. So, thank you. And feel free to have dessert and eat more soup. Okay, here you go. Senator Corman is Centre County. Senator Eckelberger is Blair County. Senator Vance is Cumberland County. Senator Pileggi is Delaware County. Alloway is Franklin County. Wise, York. Fulmer is Lebanon. Baker, Luzerne. Williams, Philadelphia. And Smuckers, Lancaster. Those are the counties. Please enjoy fellowship. Thank you for coming.
This is Ken Hurd for the Journal of the Working Class Struggle, the People's Voice of Canada, and the People's World. Coming to you from the NAACP meeting on Bill number 1085 and an adjacent bill that is going through the House of Representatives in Pennsylvania as well.